Every rule exists for a reason. Tonight's rule was never meant to be broken. The man on the other side of the fog kept begging me to open the gate, but the caretaker was screaming behind me not to listen. Then both of them said my name at exactly the same time. My name is Ethan, and 2 years ago I accepted a photography assignment on Sky Island, Scotland. An old estate overlooking the cliffs had finally been opened after decades of abandonment, and the owner wanted pictures before restoring it into a hotel. It sounded like easy money, especially since I'd always loved forgotten places. The estate sat alone above the sea, wrapped in heavy gray fog that never seemed to lift. Even in daylight, the cliffs felt strangely silent. No birds, no waves crashing, just wind scraping across old stone walls. The caretaker, an elderly man named Malcolm, met me at the rusted entrance gate. Before handing me the keys, he hesitated. "There is only one rule," he whispered. "If a stranger ever asks you to open the western gate after sunset, never answer, never speak, never unlock it." I laughed awkwardly. He didn't. I assumed it was some local superstition designed to scare tourists. Malcolm refused to explain further, saying only that every caretaker before him had learned the reason the hard way. That first evening, I photographed empty hallways, broken staircases, and dusty bedrooms frozen in time. As darkness settled outside, something changed. The entire estate became unnaturally quiet. Then I heard 3 slow knocks, not on the front door, on the western gate. I looked through an upstairs window. A man stood outside the locked iron gate. He wore an old traveling coat soaked by mist, carrying a worn leather suitcase. His face was hidden beneath the shadow of a hat. He looked completely normal. Then he slowly raised his head. "I've been walking for days," he called calmly. "Please, could you let me inside?" Every instinct told me he was just lost. "If you were standing where I was, would you have followed the rule or opened the gate for someone who seemed completely harmless?" I stepped closer to the window. That's when I noticed something impossible. The muddy path leading to the gate showed no footprints, not a single one. Yet the stranger hadn't moved. He simply smiled. Then, without raising his voice, he spoke again. "Ethan, I know you're there. I had never told anyone my name." The lights inside the estate suddenly went out. Only the gate remained visible through the fog, and I heard the lock begin to turn. The sound wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from my side of the gate. Someone or something was unlocking it from inside the estate. I ran downstairs, flashlight shaking in my hand. The western hallway felt colder with every step. Halfway there, I saw fresh, wet footprints leading toward the gate. Only they weren't human. Each print looked like 2 feet had been pressed into the ground at once, as if something couldn't decide which direction it belonged. The stranger was still waiting outside, only now he wasn't alone. Shapes stood behind him in the fog, dozens of silent travelers, each carrying old suitcases, each staring at the estate. Malcolm suddenly grabbed my shoulder from the darkness. "They're not asking to come in," he whispered. "They're asking someone else to go out." Would you trust Malcolm or the calm stranger waiting beyond the gate? The stranger smiled wider. "I was never invited," he said, "but you were." The gate lock clicked. The iron doors slowly began to open. Malcolm shoved an old lantern into my hands. "Don't let the light die." The wind exploded across the cliffs. Every shadow rushed toward us. The figures beyond the gate started walking, not toward the estate, but toward me. The lantern flickered. Their faces finally became visible. Every traveler had my face. Each one looked older. Each one looked terrified. Each one silently mouthed the same words. "Don't replace us." Would curiosity win? Or would you run before seeing what waited beyond that gate? The lantern almost went out. Instinct took over. Instead of running, I slammed the western gate shut with everything I had. The instant the lock clicked, every figure vanished. So did the fog. The cliffs were empty. Only Malcolm remained beside me, breathing heavily. He looked relieved, until he quietly asked, "Who opened it before you arrived?" I never answered, because I already knew. The lock had been open from the very beginning. Months later, I developed the photographs from that night. Every picture of the estate looked normal, except the very first one I had taken before sunset. The western gate was already standing wide open, and someone wearing my jacket was slowly walking out, carrying my camera.